Hi, Martin here, and welcome to this quick lesson about Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters. So you've just seen me play a little bit of the song, and I want to go through the crucial parts of what makes the song sound like the original. Because obviously Foo Fighters have got 3 guitarists and a bass player, and you need to try and cover all their parts as best you can on a single acoustic if you're going to play it with a single acoustic. So the first thing to explain is, you can see I've got a capo on the first fret here. The guitar itself is actually tuned to E flat, and the capo brings everything back to E again. Now normally I would actually sing most songs with a guitar tuned to E flat because it helps. If you've got a normal male voice, it's generally a bit lower than your average rock star voice, which is they generally have quite a high range. So that one semitone actually makes a lot of difference. Ask me in the comments if that doesn't make sense, but it just helps to lower your voice and the songs basically sound the same. But in this case I've actually put the capo back on the guitar, and the reason for that I'll explain. So we're going to start with the intro, as is logical, and this intro has a characteristic. It's an octave melody, quite a simple melody. It goes but obviously you need to be doing the chords underneath, which pretty much all the way through the song are B, F sharp minor and E. Those aren't, that's not, so my F sharp, they have their specific inversions that make it sound more like the song. And we'll get to those chords in just a second. So the challenge is to try and make the octaves and the chords sound at the same time. So B is quite straightforward, so this is... So you'll notice because I've got the capo on, I'm actually playing B at the 3rd fret, which would normally be where you play C, but because the guitar's down-tuned, it is actually a B. So the way I play it is, that's easy, the B's got the B octave in, and you're just adding in the 5th, and the top 2 strings ring through all the way through the song, which actually I'll go into in a second why that gives it a nice, sort of slightly ambiguous feel about what key it's in. And then you've got to do this octave along with, mixed in with this chord, the F sharp minor. So the way so you've basically got to play the F sharp bass and the octave. Yeah, I'll do that again. You see that chord there? It's slightly tricky because you're bridging 2 frets with each finger, and then you have to kind of do a little bend with your little finger, which is quite tricky. So quite difficult on an acoustic guitar with I think these are 12 gauge strings, asking your little finger to do a bend there. But anyway, that's what the song requires, so you just kind of have to get on with it and make your fingers strong. And you play an E5 chord after that, which has got the B octave in. That's the E. So then you've got the B, C sharp. That's the lead part in the intro. So if we put in the bass notes, B, F sharp minor, E, B, F sharp minor, and sorry, E. Okay, hopefully that's clear. Yeah, so the reason I've put the capo on is because I can't get that bend if I played it down where it should be. It should be in sort of an E shape without the capo, but I can't get my little finger to bend it. So if I play it 1 fret up, it goes back into the key as it's been recorded, and also because the frets are a little bit closer together there, I can just about get the strength of my little finger to do the. How do I do it? And then, so that's the intro, so that goes around 4 times I think, and then we go into the verse. So we're still doing B, F sharp minor and E, but we're using the B shape up here. Now it looks like a C because it's on the 8th fret, but trust me, because the capo's there, it is actually a B. Now these are these kind of movable chords. So now let's talk about this finger shape here. So it's like an E bar, but you don't bar the top. You just leave the top strings to ring out, and this is quite a commonplace thing to do because it utilises the open 2 top strings on the guitar to give it that nice ringing quality. Okay, if you did a full bar, it would just be quite basic sounding and too happy in a way. The top 2 strings actually make a B sus4 chord, which has that kind of unresolved quality to it. It actually does imply a home chord of E. So you could argue that the song itself doesn't really resolve to either E or B as the home chord. It's slightly ambiguous, although you probably would say, because it lands on B, that's the home chord. But because it's got that chord has a sus4, it's slightly ambiguous. But anyway, you don't have to worry about that too much. So all we need to do is master this chord, and then we do another chord with the open 2 top strings. That's F sharp minor. It's actually F sharp minor 7, so my fingers are on. And then it goes to a straight E. So the top 2 strings are constantly ringing. Then you sing it. Run and tell all of the angels this could take all night. I think I need a devil to help me get things right. And it just goes on from there. And then basically, once you finish the verse, you go into the chorus. I think it just goes straight into the chorus. And I would go back to, you need to go a bit heavier on the dynamics when you come to the chorus. So, looking for a sign of life, looking for something to help me burn out bright. You just strum it more. And in the verse, I should say that when we're coming off the intro, what I played, I think, was just run and tell all of the angels this could take all night. Just single strums when you introduce the vocal. Because that brings the dynamic down to the bare minimum, really. You could just do run and tell all of the angels, just the bass line, but that's too sparse, I think. Run and tell all of the angels. And then the second half would be strumming. And then in the chorus, looking for the sky to save me, looking for a sign of life, looking for something to help me burn out right. Just play it louder. And then there's the after the chorus, there's the instrumental. Our old friend, the octaves again. The vocal melody is starts on the major 3rd of B, then it goes to that's the minor 3rd of F sharp minor, and then the 5th of it. We could wait all night. So it implies actually an E2. I think we're getting there. I mean, I don't want to go through the whole song because then it repeats, and there is a. Let me just check the arrangement here. Yeah, it's generally a bridge or something like that. But the main thing, intros are really important because straight away that's how people know what song you're playing. So you have to master this, playing the octave and the chord at the same time. So obviously, the B is easy. That's a B5 chord with the top 2 strings added, which makes it like a sus4. The hard one obviously being the F sharp with the C sharp octave. And go to the... And that's basically it. Now, just a little hint about singing as well. The most important thing with singing is to sing to yourself as much as you possibly can to keep the vocal cords strong. Now, if you're an adult, the best place I think to sing or to practice singing is in the car. If you commute, say if you commute for half an hour each way, so you've got an hour a day by yourself in a metal box which is pretty much sealed to sound. Put on some songs on a CD or Spotify or whatever, but songs that you like and you think you might want to be able to sing. You know, nothing that's miles outside your range, but something that's in the middle. You know, try this one for instance. And then you just have to sing along with it. And after you've done that for maybe 2 or 3 days, you'll find that it's a lot easier because, so that's basically 3 hours in the first week. Say if you commute every day, it's 3 hours, halfway through the first week, your voice is going to start to loosen up and get stronger. And you'll find that you can hit the notes and sustain the notes a lot better than what you could on the first day. And it really is as simple as that. The trouble is with any muscle, as with any muscle, the voice is going to get weaker if you don't use it, okay? So if you think, oh, I can't hit those notes, you have to basically put the time in to keep trying basically in the car. And if you're getting out of the car with a sort of slightly more husky voice than what you got in, you know that your vocal cords have sort of relaxed a little bit. Otherwise they tend to kind of tighten up and you actually have a slightly higher voice if you don't sing. So if you sing, your voice relaxes and you should be able to get more power and hit the slightly higher notes and just have it easier. Actually, sitting down isn't the best place to be singing. So if you're in the car and you're thinking, if you're thinking that things are getting a little bit better, if you actually stand up outside, you can't stand up in the car of course, but you stand up when you get home or whatever and just have a sing, it'll actually be easier to sing when you stood up because you're not sort of cramped down and you know your rib cage can open up and all that kind of stuff. And that is really absolutely #1 tip for improving your singing voice. It's just, I know it sounds easy, but just to sing along as much as you can do. If whoever you live with, parents or you know, spouse or whatever, if they can stand to hear you practicing your singing at home, then that's cool. Every house should have, you know, be full of song in my opinion. But perhaps people might get sick of you practicing or whatever, I don't know. But so the car, if you do commute on you can't do it when you commute on a train, I don't suppose, but you really can belt out the songs in the car, keep putting it on repeat, and there's no one else to object. That is my recommendation. If I haven't been singing for a while, my voice goes weak and high-pitched in a way, and then just a few days commuting, you know, solves the problem basically. And then it's just all about getting a feel for what the notes are. So this is, you know, most things start on either the root note or the major third or the fifth, and again it's important to know what those notes are in each chord and how you construct chords. So this is another, again we're slightly diverging here, but knowing how chords are constructed is really essential into understanding music and how to perform it. So this starts on the major third of B. Run and tell all of the angels, this could take all night. And you need to make sure you land correctly on the notes, no sort of run and tell all of the angels, this could take all night. You know, you have to have confidence that you're going to get to the correct pitch pretty much as close as you possibly can, and it's helpful to think of you kind of going up and down the ladder a few steps, and that's how being able to play the melody helps. And that gives you an understanding of how the notes fit together in the scale that you're using. So yeah, being aware of how the pitches go up and down and how that relates to the song is kind of important, and that's the second stage after you feel like, so run, if you think you can just go run, then the next stage is to get those jumps in between the notes. So essentially what I'm trying to give you there is a very brief overview of how that song works, what the important parts are, and how to approach singing, which is obviously transferable to any song that you might care to think of. But in a way, I think this is the Foo Fighters song that translates best to an acoustic performance. A lot of them are very kind of heavy, and as I say, they've got 3 guitar parts in, which can be difficult to approximate. This one's relatively straightforward. But if this sounds too complex, or some of it you haven't understood, then you can ask questions in the comments, or I obviously do lessons, so come and actually have a proper lesson face to face, and I could either go through a bit slower, or explain the thing with a capo again, or go through the technique required to do that kind of thing. And hopefully this has helped along some level of getting you to play this song Learn to Fly by the Foo Fighters. So thank you very much for watching, and keep an eye out for more lessons. Cheers.